intro song.
Unleash your true potential with the Metamorphosis Unleashed podcast, your guide to personal growth, health, and wellness. At the Metamorphosis Unleashed, your transformation takes center stage. Hosted by Coach Walter and Coach Dale, this podcast is your go-to source for practical tips, expert insights, and inspiring stories. Tune in for honest conversations, actionable strategies, and a supportive community that's all about growth and positivity. Key topics: fitness, nutrition, mental health, overcoming fitness roadblocks. We also feature interviews with clients, industry professionals, and thought leaders, delivering real advice and relatable experiences. Metamorphosis Unleashed, your guide to unleashing your true potential.
And hey, what's up? Welcome to another edition of the Metamorphosis Unleashed. I'm Coach Walter, she's Coach Dale, and we are here to get this done today. Have I got a topic for us today? That's one that's real good. She's salty because, she sends me a little itinerary.
Yes.
Before we, but
plan it out.
Today,
I'm producing it, right?
I make sure this one is not off the cuff, but there's lack of preparation that she had a chance. This way we can get real, authentic words and statements into. But first, how was your week?
My weekend was good. It was started the new eating plan.
Oh, good.
Felt really good about it.
Good.
The snacks were just
Hard.
It was hard after eating that kind of lunch and then have a snack, or even having the big breakfast and then the snack. It was just too much. It's a lot.
Too much.
I know, but I'm supposed to keep eating. Keep eating. But it was good. But I had a hard workout with lifting mulch bags and mulching my flower bed and putting in new flowers and all that kind of stuff.
She's coming out.
I was sweating like.
If I bought a mulch, you come to mine?
No, absolutely not. No, I see why people hire people to do that. But it was a good workout.
Good.
And then I cleaned out my garage too. So.
Well, you didn't get in your garage.
I did. I have plenty in my garage. I didn't have anything up in shelving. I needed organization. You know me. I don't like clutter, so I got it all up and organized. And
as long as it works for you.
Good. How was yours?
Didn't do too much. I went to my sister's house. My sister's birthday is today. Shout out to Sandy Nicole. She had a 30-something birthday today. 38 birthday today. She is old. My baby sister too. She's 9 years younger than me, so that makes me.
Wow.
So yeah. But I'm happy for her. We had a celebration for her this weekend. I'm glad we had a chance to go down and all get together and have an adult Easter egg hunt. I didn't know there was such thing. I found out that there was a such thing, and the prizes were anywhere from wine to food and cash and all kinds of stuff. So it was fun. It was a good time. We had fun.
That's fun.
It was good to hang out with the family.
Sorry I didn't go, but it's okay. It's okay. I'm not the social person like that. I mean, I can do it, but anyway.
But I enjoyed it. We had a good time. And then we are in the gear. People here at studio are getting ready for a positive meet. Probably about sitting between 10 and 16 weeks, depending on how they progress. But that's gonna be a good time for them.
Yes.
All the while, I'm just training away, getting ready for this competition in September, October, because competition season for me is going to start in the fall. So I'm gonna be on the stage.
That means he's gonna be intense.
I'm a happy person.
No, you are intense when you're training. And it's okay. We understand. Everybody gets intense like that. So.
But other than that, things have been good. We have we're getting inch close to hopefully getting this bigger location.
Yes.
And moving over there and have bigger stuff. And
excited.
Good. I'm excited too. I think it's gonna be a good time. The transition is getting it's coming along. So but anyway, on to today's topic.
Yes. What is today's topic?
This is a good one.
It better not be anything crazy.
It's not crazy. It's all about goal setting, realistic versus unrealistic goals, right? I believe that when you're working out or when you're living your life, you should absolutely positively have a big, huge goal, right? And to some people, it could seem unrealistic. However, but if you milestone your goals along the way, you can easily stay on track. So give you an example. My goal was to bench 400 pounds with ease. And I can bench 400 pounds now, right? It is a hard goal. It is obtainable. And it's probable as long as you follow steps to get there.
Okay.
Now, there are other goals. Let's say I wanted to bench 800 pounds. It is unlikely and unrealistic that I'll ever bench press 800 pounds. Because in the history of the world, there's been exactly one person who's ever bench pressed 797 pounds. And he weighs 400 pounds. So understanding the limitations of the human body and understanding that I'm still 47 years old and not exactly a spring chicken anymore, there are certain limits that your body is going to have.
Okay.
So setting an 800-pound goal would be completely unrealistic for bench press for me at 47, 48 years old.
Okay.
Okay. But that doesn't mean that I can't find something that is as challenging that would be realistic.
Okay.
Right. And I think that a lot of times in society, people get this idea in their head, like, I can do this because it's my goal and I can do it. Well, sir, ma'am, if you weigh 400 pounds, you're not going to weigh 160 in 3 days. That's completely unrealistic.
That is unrealistic. But let me just say this. So you go to the doctor.
Yes.
And, you're doing the physical, and the first thing out of the doctor's mouth is, you need to lose some weight. Okay. That's not a goal.
Nope.
Just telling you to go lose some weight.
Right.
It's not a goal.
Not a goal at all.
It's not a goal.
That's correct.
Then that means that the doctor is relying on the patient to determine what their goals are.
That's right.
Okay. So then for me, when that happened to me, it was like, oh, okay, well, I'll lose 5 pounds.
Right. You lost the weight.
That's right. But I knew I needed to lose more. But I was like, okay, let me just try to lose just the first 5 pounds. And I'll do it by, I won't eat out. I won't do this. I won't do that. But never did I put in the equation exercising.
Right.
It's just like, I'm not going to do this.
Exactly.
This stuff. It didn't work out.
That's right.
The first weekend where there was a party or whatever.
It's a
done deal. It's a wrap. Right. So that's frustrating.
Absolutely.
And so now you have people who, again, still the doctors haven't changed their language. They still tell them just to lose some weight. So it wasn't until I started working out with personal trainers that they actually gave me a number.
That's right.
But then sometimes that number felt like, oh my God.
Exactly.
You have lost your mind.
Exactly.
And I wasn't successful with that either.
That's right.
So how does a person determine what the right goal is?
That's where it comes in, and that's where I want to talk about.
Okay. All right.
That's exactly why I brought this up.
Okay.
So being realistic, while having an unrealistic goal is essential to success.
Okay.
Okay. Let's say I want to lose theoretically 100 pounds. That's a lot of weight. 100 pounds, a lot of weight. And there are people, one person in particular I'm thinking of, who lost 100 pounds in 90 days.
What?
There are very few people.
Were they on the Ozempic?
Nope.
Okay.
There are very few people in the world who are as determined as David Goggins.
Okay.
But
is that who you're talking about?
That's right.
Oh, I can believe it. He's crazy.
I don't think he's crazy at all. I think that he was hyper focused and determined on his goal and did not deviate.
But do you think his goal was to lose 100 pounds?
It had to be, or else he would have never made it to SEAL camp. So he had an end goal, which is to be one of the first and few Black members of the elite Navy SEALs team.
Right.
But he had to lose 100 pounds by the next intake, because the intake after that one, he would have aged out and would not have a chance to try.
Okay.
Because 37 and a half is the oldest you can be
to be a Navy SEAL.
To enter the Navy SEAL the first time. Right.
Okay. So, but who told, I guess in my mind, I'm thinking, what made him think losing 100 pounds? Because he's already in the Navy.
No, he wasn't.
He wasn't in any of the military
services? He was in the Air Force before and he got out. and they would spray it for cockroaches.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He's working, I think it was Ethicon was the company he's working for, doing, pests and stuff.
Yeah. So he didn't try it the first time. Oh, wow. So he just knew.
Yeah. So
he had to get himself in shape, which meant
very few people, right. So he's thought he'd just go out and run 3 miles or 4 miles, and he didn't make it down the block the first time.
Okay.
But he changed all his habits, changed how he ate, changed what he ate, and set milestone goals every single day. And for us as coaches, our job is, okay, great, I know what your goal is. Now, how can we make it realistic and possible for you to hit it? Because if we don't have important steps along the way to give you wins along the way, the odds are very high that you're going to not be successful because you're not seeing any progress towards your goal. So let's say I have a client who is 350 pounds and she's 5'5". So she's very overweight and needs to lose a lot of weight. The temptation is going to be, let me go get the surgery. Yes. Or let me go get these drugs.
I've seen them.
You know what's crazy? Just as a sidebar, people who take the drugs will lose 16 pounds in 40 weeks. And they count that as a success. That's what they're advertising. That's what Ozempic, that's what Mounjaro, that's all these drugs are advertising. They're advertising you can lose 16 or 17 pounds in 40 weeks.
But you can lose more than that in 40 weeks if you are eating right. And
eat decent and work out. My average client loses about 12 pounds a month. So in 5 weeks, you should be losing.
Right.
The 16 pounds. So.
Hence, I didn't always follow his plan, but I'm working it. But it's
that's
a journey.
That's where that professional comes in, right?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna milestone you at 1% of your body weight every single week. Right. That's the goal.
Okay.
So if you weigh 300 pounds, the goal for you is to lose 3 pounds a week.
Right.
And that's a very, very small amount when you compare it to what you're attempting to lose.
Yeah.
But, right, if you do 3 pounds a week for 10 weeks, you've now lost 30 pounds. 20 weeks, you lost 60 pounds. 30 weeks, you lost 80 pounds.
Yeah.
40 weeks, you're down 100 pounds.
Down 100 pounds.
In less than a year. But
you don't see that as unrealistic, considering your average person has to work through.
That's the key. It's the goal is very obtainable.
Okay.
And you can milestone along the way, 3.1, 2.8, 3.6, 5. Every week is not going to be exactly 3 pounds, but you're going to set the tone for your success each week with a tangible thing. It's a lot easier to go from 350 to 347 than it is to go from 350 to 325.
Okay.
So if my target for you is at 350 is to be 347, I'm going to celebrate you just as hard at 347 as you are at 325, as you are at 300, as you are at 275.
That I believe.
You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's having that big, hairy, audacious goal, the BHAG, having that big, huge goal, but also having little micro goals along the way. And that's where you.
But do you communicate those micro goals?
Absolutely. Sometimes, yeah. Depends on the person. And part of the thing about a coach is he or she has to understand what motivates you. Right? And if you don't display or tell your coach how important it is for you to be cheered on, it's him or her is going to pay attention and say, okay, this person needs this now. Okay, haven't touched base in 3 days. What's going on? And what do I need to do to help push? So everybody is different. So you've got to have a coach that's paying attention to those things and setting the right milestones up for you.
Right.
That way you can have a higher probability of success because now you know that you're getting those cheering on sections along the way.
So what do you tell a person who hits a plateau or, when you're working out and you're eating right, you're still gaining muscle. So your weight is going to fluctuate up
It can.
as well as down.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you tell that person? Expect that?
You tell them the truth. Absolutely. You tell them, listen, the scale is not the only arbiter of health.
Right.
This weekend was a good example. It rained on Saturday. It was still 81 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
If I just said, Alexa, what's the temperature outside? 81 degrees. And put my shorts and t-shirt and flip-flops. And I go outside, it's pouring down raining.
Mm-hmm.
Was Alexa wrong?
No, she wasn't wrong.
You just didn't have all the appropriate information to make the best informed decision.
Right.
And the same thing applies to a scale. The scale says Walter is morbidly obese.
Okay. No, the scale just says Walter is a certain weight.
You understand?
The scale tells me, damn, Dale. But I keep working at it, I keep working at it.
But you can't be obsessed with just the scale. It's everything.
Yeah, that was my biggest issue.
It's everything. How do you clothes fit? How do you feel? How do you look? How do you walk? How do you talk? Are all of the other facets of your life changing? Okay, is the scale the last thing? Yes. And that's a lot of people's story. Is the scale is sometimes the last thing. Some people it's the first thing. It just depends. Every human is different because their lived experience from now from now back to the beginning, everyone's lived experience is different. So I can't say that for this person it's going to happen this way because I don't know. Everybody's different. So I don't know. So, but what I do know that there are some things that are constant, and having a goal to shoot for is different than saying I got to lose some weight.
Right.
And so that's where we're going to piggyback this to the next conversation too.
Well,
right?
I was going to say, I know, like for me, one of my goals is, because remember, I gave you my scale because it was just messing with my emotions. Mm-hmm. And I took it back. And so at that point, I said, the scale is a tool. Mm-hmm. I'm only going to use it as a tool. Mm-hmm. And so I don't allow it to run my emotions like it was doing before. Right. Because sometimes when I would see it be not at the number I wanted to be at, then I get a little down on myself. Then I'm like, well, I might as well go ahead and have these chips because I'm already up 2 pounds. I mean, that's what I was doing. I was working through all of that, right? Now I don't allow the scale to do that for me.
Well, that's good.
And I keep my weight chart on my refrigerator, and I keep it up there even when I have guests come in because 9 times out of 10 somebody's going to make a comment.
Of course.
And so, and I tell them, I'm not embarrassed about this. This is my goal. I'm working on getting this number down. And so I put the new number on every month. Mm-hmm. And if it's higher than it was the month before, then I know I got to, readjust. Right. And somebody goes, oh, well, you were up, but then you went back down. I was like, yeah, that's part of the journey. That's part of the journey. So I keep myself going, but I haven't really allowed myself to set a goal. Mm-hmm. I'm just riding that wave, but I realize I can't just ride the wave.
So maybe instead of the goal being a weight, maybe the goal needs to be a clothes size. You'd be surprised. My goal for some folks, in spandex. Right, that's my point. So maybe the goal is to say, you know what, right now we're a size 16, 18. I need to wear a size 10. So everything that I do from here on out, it's got to be to get into the size 10. So what do I need? Some folks need different types of motivation. I have one client, I made her go to Neiman Marcus and bought a custom suit in a size 6. She had to hang that, and she hung that suit on the inside of her bedroom door, and it sat there. $2,800 suit that she had made that hung on that door for 4.5 months until she could fit it.
Wow.
So
I'm not
but
doing
everybody get it, but everybody has a different way to be motivated. And for her, that was something that was motivational, that was able to keep her going every single day and not leave the room, go get cookies late at night and not go do the other stuff. Yeah. So everybody has a different need or needs a different way to achieve their goals. Because we know that at a size 6, she's going to be 140 pounds. It's just, you have to be. Right. You can't get around it. So, and to start at 195 pounds, go down to 140 pounds, 4 to 5 months, that was a big deal for her.
Well, I was in a size 11 shoe. Mm-hmm. And I realized my shoes were getting too big. Mm-hmm. And so I bought them smaller in my next set. Mm-hmm. So I came home to size 9.5. Mm-hmm. And I tried them on. Mm-hmm. They're a little tight, but I can wear them. Yeah. So I was like, okay,
that's a win.
That's a win. That's a huge win.
So it's all of those things that can be used as a tool towards your success. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So obviously your bone structure is going to matter to your shoe size too. So you want to go by 8.5, because I don't know if that's a good thing to cut your toes off, maybe. But I don't think that's a good idea.
I couldn't go lower than a 9 at this point. I knew I was losing weight in my feet, though.
Well, you lose weight with feet, hands, face.
Yeah,
that's typically how it works.
That's how it works. Well, so I was really happy to see that I could put them on.
But I think that having those micro goals along the way are essential. Do I think that there are such thing as unrealistic goals? Yes.
So is a goal to be able to go out and do normal activities without pain. Is that an unrealistic
Absolutely.
goal?
That's a very realistic goal.
That's a realistic
very realistic,
goal.
Right.
That's
right.
not an unrealistic
goal. Not at all. I like Will Smith. He said something. He was talking about his goal setting and how he did it when he became an actor. He said, when I set my goals, why be realistic? It's an interesting statement. Why be realistic?
Right.
You should stretch the reality just enough to where people think you're crazy. And then you go do it. Walter, why would you ever open a gym in the middle of a pandemic? You know what? Because it needs to be done. You're crazy. I am. You're right. But you just don't understand why I'm crazy.
It was your vision.
My passion.
And your
passion. And what I want to achieve and accomplish. Right. And if your glasses don't let you see big enough, that's okay. So my goal is to change the idea of health and wellness and fitness in my community. Is it possible? Yeah, absolutely. I'm never going to stop driving towards that goal. Is it too big where I can't influence all of the country? Well, I don't know. With the internet, with YouTube, we have TV, and we have, going to the governor's office to talk about health and wellness and doing all those different things. Could this small state of Delaware be a linchpin for health and wellness across the country? Possibly, and I could completely change generation just by the work that I'm doing now, right? Yeah. So it's possible, and I can see it, and so I'm going to keep driving towards it, because as unrealistic as it may seem to others, it's in my grasp because I know the steps I've taken to do these things.
So what do you say to a person, male, female, doesn't matter, who've always have been overweight since a little kid? So how do they, and I think I should add into that, is that being overweight and living overweight was normal for them.
Sure.
Right? And so now, things are starting to change where they're feeling their bodies are feeling different. They're not able to do what they used to do. Now they're thinking, well, now I need to maybe start losing some weight. But how does a person change their psyche in that regard with using a goal?
I think that you have to reverse engineer it. Okay. Let's say that I want to be healthy and fit at XYZ weight. Okay, wonderful. What does that look like for you? Who do you have to be in order for that to be a reality? Who needs to be around you or doesn't need to be around you during the journey to get you there? There's that part. Okay. Then comes the math and science part. Well, how much weight is it? How many calories is it? How many pounds is it? How many pounds can I lose in a day, in a week, in a month, realistically, blah, 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 blah. So that part comes in. But the end game is, who do you have to become? Because a lot of folks will get a different level of attention. They'll get differently, they're treated differently. They'll treat others differently because they're not prepared for it. So the first thing I do during the conversation I have with folks when I first meeting them is, listen, as you start your journey, the haters are going to come.
Yeah, that's.
And the haters aren't going to be the ones whom you think are going to be the ones cheering you on. So are you prepared for that? That's a real conversation.
That's a real conversation, because I wasn't.
Right, and I try to tell everybody, this is what's going to happen. You've always done it this way. In my own personal experience, right? You've always done it this way, Walter. You don't need to do this, blah, 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 blah. You're right. I don't have to, but I want to.
Yeah.
I want to live better, be better.
It's hard.
And as you begin to structure your life, you will then begin to add to your own life and to those around you. And if there are people who along the way fall off, peace. I'm not saying I don't like you, I'm not saying I don't love you, don't saying we stop wanting to be around you. Just right now, for where I'm going and where I am in my life, we're not in the same place. And that's okay. And it's hard.
It's hard. I think what makes it even harder is I think the first pushbacks that you experience with your family.
Yeah.
Because they're so used to knowing who you are,
right.
and
who you were,
how you were, and
then they tell you
eating the same things they ate.
And all that stuff. You've changed.
Yeah.
That's the whole idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the whole point.
It really is. But that's the most painful part.
And it's hard.
It's very hard.
And people don't recognize and or realize that it is the change that you need. You have to change or else you're literally dying. Yeah. Right. If you're not progressing, you literally have to be receding.
Yeah.
That's just a fact.
True.
Right? Because those two things can't exist in the same space.
Yeah.
So you have to continue to drive forward. Once you accomplish that one goal, then there's next goal, until you get to your BHAG. Then once you get your BHAG, okay, great. What's next?
Yeah.
Right? I want to be the best doctor in the world. Great. Okay. You're the best doctor. Now what?
Yeah. I think for me, it's not really about the weight. For me, it's about lifestyle change.
Right.
So my lifestyle change is very different than those around me, except for like friends. I have friends that really are very supportive, really pushing me. Every time I see them, they're like, "Oh my goodness, you look so much better." And what are you eating now? I went for the weekend.
4 ounces of air.
I'm making my own food, and I'll bring my own food. And they were like, "No, we'll go to the store. We'll get you whatever you wanted." And so when I started going down the list, I said, "Well, I need 4 ounces of this, and I only eat 4 ounces of this, and 5 ounces of this." And they were like, "Oh, you
serious
for real?" I was like, yeah. And then they're like, "But you don't really eat." And I'm like, "No, I do eat." Because they know me.
Right.
My friends know me that I don't eat a lot. And so now it looks like I'm eating even less.
But that's the problem, is that you think you're not eating a lot, but
it's a lot.
You're eating a lot.
It's a lot. If you'd have told me that that's all I have was like 5 ounces of meat, I would have said, "No, man, I need a whole half of a chicken."
Right. And you probably would have ate it because it was there.
But I would be miserable after I ate it too. Yeah. And my stomach was used to feeling
that tight
fullness, right? So now only eating the 5 ounces and getting used to that. Now it's like, I don't want any more. I don't want to feel that tightness of fullness anymore. And then my body is also having, making changes in terms of how fast it breaks down and digests that. Yeah. Well, that's for me, meat is very challenging
if you remember,
to digest.
We talked about this a little bit at the retreat. We talked about the hara hachibu, which is the Japanese idea of eating till you're 80% full. And that's hard. We Americans, we like to eat.
Everything comes supersized.
Yeah.
Right? Supersized.
So
it's like, ugh.
It's how do we do that? And that's by setting those goals. It's by having the realistic goal and the unrealistic goal. You gotta have a little bit of both. But the unrealistic goal doesn't mean that, oh my God, I want to be invisible. It's unrealistic.
Right. That's unrealistic.
Right. But you can be camouflaged into the wind, whatever. That's realistic, I guess. But setting a realistic goal that pushes the edge of the unrealistic. That's the key. Will you ever be a cover model? I don't know. Could be. But is that what you want? Is that a goal that you have? So if your goal, say she's like Dale, you don't have a weight goal, you don't have you just want to be able to enjoy your life and do more physical sport outside without having pain and stuff like that. Well, how do we get there?
I wanted to get off the prescription meds. That was always my goal.
That's a big goal.
That is my big goal. And it's coming down. They're coming off slowly but surely. and the weight's coming off slowly but surely. But I'm trying to develop a lifestyle that I can enjoy being in.
That's right.
So like the first big thing that I noticed that I have done successfully, it's been over a year now. It's been over a year. Trying to think the last time my girlfriends were down. I think I had a drink with them. But leaving the alcohol alone. Just don't drink it anymore.
That's it.
And actually, after my time with them, I became even more determined. I realized that I really didn't like the way alcohol makes me feel.
That's right.
But I've always ignored that feeling to fit in with everybody else around me, right? Yeah. But I really don't enjoy alcohol.
I feel you.
So, yeah, that was a low-hanging fruit, I think, for me. And so my next low-hanging fruit is to be active every day.
And that's what we talked about last week, maybe week before. We were talking about making a plan for movement, and doing something to enjoy. Right. So
I enjoy doing the gardening, but I did it. But I did because I had the music playing. It was relaxing.
Yeah.
It was fun.
There is something that we do that we love. That's fun and exciting. Like, but then there are things that I don't like doing at all. I don't like taking out trash. I don't like it. I think I should maid that should do it. The maid only comes once a week though, so I got to take the trash out. I don't like to do it.
It's not something that we want to do. So it's always been a guy thing.
But I don't like to do it, but I do it.
I know. Right? I don't like
I don't always like to lift weights. A lot of times I do, but then sometimes I'm like, I don't want to do it today.
Just don't feel like
I just don't. But I can hear David Goggins yelling at me in the back of my head, like, "Get up, motherfucker! Get them reps in."
Yeah,
I can hear him.
Even though you don't want to do it, do what you don't want to do.
And that's the other part of your goals that is directly related. It is directly proportional. The amount of discipline that you have towards the goal that you set is directly proportional to the amount of the goal that you will achieve or the amount of success that you will have. So if you stay disciplined to what your goal is, and you eat your food, work out, do your stuff, that's what your goal is, to be healthier, fitter, blah, blah. The more stringent, the more tight you stick to your regimen, the more successful you're going to be, because you have to be. Right? And the rest of your life will fall into line, because it's okay to be hyper focused and it's okay to be obsessed for a little while to achieve your goal. Because once you've achieved it, then it's the next thing. Because now you know how to make sure you keep that as your baseline, and then you can do other stuff around it. So if you know that in your case you want to be more successful, play in the yard when Yasin comes, hang out, roll the dirt and have fun with him, great. But what do you have to do? Outside.
I'm not getting no dirt.
Having fun. If your goal is to throw the ball outside with him.
Okay, yeah, I can do that.
Right?
For sure.
Show him how to be catcher. All kind of stuff. If you want to be able to do that, well, what do you have to do and be in order to be in that kind of shape to enjoy those things with him?
Yeah.
So those still 3-4 years away.
Yeah.
So what do you have to do? How much do you have to weigh? How flexible do you have to be? How strong do you have to be able to do those things? Okay, I've got to be able to do this. And that comes with me weighing this and being this kind of shape. All right, cool. So we know we got this amount of time. We know that we want to maintain this type of shape. So these are the foods we got to eat. This is the deficit we got to be in, and this is how long it's going to take. So that means that from this point going forward, I've got to be disciplined along all these things so I can achieve that end goal of being healthy enough to play ball with the grandson outside in the yard when he comes over on the weekends, whatever the case may be. So, you can have a nebulous goal where it's not exactly a precise thing, but you can still shape the goal to get the path to get there if you know what you have to be for your goal.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Right.
It does.
So, I want to be president of the United States of America. Okay, great. You're only one of 47 dudes in history. Well, I want 44 dudes in history of the country. How do you do that? Okay, great. Most of the presidents have been lawyers or have been Congress people or senators prior to. Okay, great. Or military general twice. So what do you got to do? Well, I'm not too old to be in the military. That's out. So that means I probably should go to law school and then or become a member of Congress or a U.S. senator.
Become a community activist. For sure.
Or community activist, right? Something in that realm has to happen.
Right.
And since I'm a little bit older getting started, that means I probably got to have some kind of state office ahead of time. What does that look like? Okay, so who do I got to be elected? That means I got to be active in the community. Active part. How do I do all those things, and what should my platform be? Well, my platform will be healthcare. My platform will be education, because those are things that are important to me, and I think they should be important to the rest of everybody else. Because those two things are correct, and the rest of everything has to organize. It just has to. If you're smarter and you're healthier, then you have a higher probability of success in life. So I need to focus on those two things. So great, focus those things, make that a platform. Do people like it? Does it sell? Great. Do I have time to go knock on doors, to go meet people? Do I need to shake how many hands a day do I need to shake to get to 1 million in 2 years' time? Right? Because that's what you got to do. You got to meet everybody in the state. So let's go meet everybody in the state. You know, Delaware's small enough where you can do it. Great. So now I'm the governor or state senator or the lieutenant governor. Now I've got a national brand. Now I can run for president. Yeah. So it all becomes, how do you have your big goal, but then what do you have to become in the in between time, meantime, along the way? And
so let me ask you this though. So you've got the goal, and you're finding that you're meeting the smaller goals, right? I'm trying to understand the adjustments that have to be made as you're meeting those goals.
What do you mean adjustments?
So like you can have a person that, bottom line, they should lose 100 pounds. Let's just 100 pounds, right? But in the interim, their goals are different. Even though they know that 100 pounds is back there, they're looking at low-hanging fruit goals first, right?
Yep.
Keep them successful. So let's say consistency is one goal.
That's right.
Okay. Consistency is one goal. Discipline's another goal.
Yes.
Right? So consistency, I got to be at the gym at least 3 days a week.
Right.
Okay. They've met that goal. And so now it's a habit.
Yep.
Right. And so, at that point, they have to make an adjustment.
Sort of. Okay.
Sort of. You're saying sort of.
Yep.
Not definitely.
That's right. So if you only have 3 days a week that you can go to the gym, that's still your goal. The question is, how can I change what you're doing while you're at the gym to help advance your goal further? Right. So if I only have an hour a day to walk, and the first day I walk in 1 hour, I walk 2.5 miles.
Okay.
Now I want to walk 5 miles, but I still only have 1 hour.
So you got to walk faster.
So I got to walk faster.
Right.
So instead of it taking me an hour to do 2.5 miles, now it's going to take me an hour to do 3 miles. Now my next milestone is to do 3.5 miles in an hour. And my next milestone is going to be.
So those are the adjustments.
Yes. So you're adjusting within the goal as you go, right? So if your goal is to be consistent for 3 days a week, if those legitimately the only times you have that you can spend dedicated to going to the gym, that's okay. But when you get to the gym, well, when I'm at home, I can do my cardio because I can go for a walk, I can do my gardening, and I have the calorie calculator that shows me that this amount of time doing gardening, this amount of time doing walking, this amount of time doing running, this amount of time doing swimming equals this amount of calories. Great. Well, when I go to the gym, do my warm up, do my stretches, and then I'm going to hit the weights hard because I know that weight resistant training is what's required to build muscle, and that's what's required to lose weight. I'm going to do a total body workout for each of those 3 days. Do upper, lower, upper, lower, whatever it is. And I'm going to push as heavy as I possibly can with perfect form as I possibly can every single time that I go. And each week I'm going to track, because the following week I need to add 2.5 more pounds.
Of weight?
Yeah. And the following week add 2.5 more pounds. Gosh. And the following week add 2.5 more pounds.
Oh my gosh.
So yes, you can still within your goal make changes within the system to be able to be successful.
That's why I can't go down lower than 20 pounds.
Bingo.
Dang, come on.
You understand what I mean? So it's
but I'm more successful if I'm with lesser weight.
What's your gauge of success?
That I can do it.
Okay. So there's only one way to get better.
struggle.
There's nothing in history of the world, nothing in history of the world has been born out of ease that helps you achieve a goal.
Okay, so let me ask you this then.
Yes.
How long, once you hit something, let's say you can do, like for me, I can do 30 minutes on the Stairmaster.
Okay.
At level 1.
Yep.
Right? So I want to make it a habit. Every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, when I come in, I get on that Stairmaster at least 30 minutes.
Yep.
Okay. Let's say I do that for a month.
Mm-hmm.
At what point, because now by a month, I feel like I'm thinking that my body will definitely have been able to do that and I'm not struggling as much.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it's giving me the confidence that I can do this and
absolutely
I don't struggle through it.
That's right.
But as soon as you make that adjustment, I'm back to struggling again.
That's right.
Which means I'm not going to really want to.
I
got to push myself.
But that's the idea.
That's the idea.
But the idea is for the struggle. The idea is to, when you hear people say embrace the struggle, embrace the process, that's exactly what they're talking about. It's knowing that there is an entire universe of shit that you got to do. And knowing that right now you can do exactly one speck of the shit you got to get done. But here's the thing. To achieve your goal, you know what you got to get done. You know the things you don't know to get done. But do you know the things that you don't know you need to get done? Of course not. Because you don't even know that it exists. Right? True. So that struggle, that's part of that don't know, because you don't know how hard or how easy it's going to be. What if you got there just, fuck it, I'm putting on level 3 right now. Let's just go for it. But watch this. You'll realize that your body can hardly tell the difference between level 1 and level 3.
Oh, yes. No, I know I can know.
Listen, I'm telling you.
That Stairmaster is, listen.
But you understand what I'm saying, right?
I understand what you're saying, but that Stairmaster is telling you otherwise.
Watch this. So do 1 for 7 minutes, do 2 for 1 minute, 3 for 1 minute, and go back down to 1. So it's possible for you to achieve your goal, but you can adjust the process along the way, keeping that goal in mind. Okay, you can course correct as you go, but you're still going for the specific goal.
Okay.
Right? I wanted to open the second location down in DC, but courtesy of the Orange Man and other things that are going on in the world, it just didn't make good sense to do it right now. It does not mean that I'm not going to. It just means that now,
for sure,
it's not. You know what I mean?
Right now, it's not.
So that is still the goal. We're just adjusting how we get to the goal. Same thing applies to losing weight or to business or making money, whatever it is.
So for a client though that you have may not be vocal.
Sure.
So how do you know it's time to make that adjustment?
That's a hard one, but that's the importance of working with your coach one-on-one in person. Virtually, you can do certain things. In person is a lot different because I can see how your body moves and see how you respond and stuff like that. So it's different. And I get a better idea, or your coach get a better idea of what you're capable of doing. So I think that even if you're not vocal, if you're working with your coach in person, then you will have a way to go. He or she will be able to tell you when you can add more, when you should take some off.
What if you don't have a coach?
That's a tough one. Not having a coach doesn't stop you from making gains. It doesn't stop you from getting better. But the boiling frog teaches us that everything could seem like it's okay, but it's really not, right? So the boiling frog says you put a frog in a vat of cool water and slowly turn it up, the frog won't jump out. It will boil to death. But if you put a frog, throw in a pot of boiling water, it'll jump right out, right? And that's what happens when you train by yourself sometimes, is you can get stuck in that realm that you have, not knowing that you could do more because you feel like you're being challenged, but you're really not. So you don't have someone telling you, hey, you can do more. It makes you stay in that same place versus reaching for more. Like, I thought from our first bodybuilding show, I'm in great shape because I'm the best shape that I've ever been in. Little did I know, I was not in stage show ready shape at all, in no way, shape, or form. Right? And then when I realized what the difference was, I was like, well, shit. I had a different coach who was able, hey, Walter, you're fat. I'm not fat. I've lost 20 pounds. No, bro, for stage, you're fat.
Wow.
So my first show, I was 217 pounds. When I did the Olympia, I was 207. And I still probably could have lost 5 more pounds to place better.
Wow.
So, it's having that other person, have the coach, the trainer outside telling you or giving you guidance as to what you need to do makes the big difference.
I know, but everybody doesn't have a trainer or a coach.
But that's the hard part. Even if trust a friend, a gym partner, I mean, I'm not going to give you something I don't know the answer to, because I believe that you've got to have somebody that you work out with. You should have someone to work out with. The beauty of the gym community is that, similar to church, everyone's on the same mission. Mm-hmm. While one person may be weight loss, one person might be weight gain, one person may be stronger, one person may make a lifestyle change, everyone is there to make their current physique, physicality, heart, muscle, strength better in some way, shape, or form.
Right.
So with that being said, with John Q. customer walking into a gym to work out, he or she can be confident that the people that are there are on the same mission. And if you ask for help, someone's going to help you. Right. Now, if you're working at home in a home gym, instead of adding 2.5 pounds a week, add 0.5% of what you're doing each week.
Each week.
Right. Because then that's something where you won't injure yourself, and you can have some progressive increases over time. Right. Because you can't spot yourself on bench press, you can't spot yourself on squats, you can't spot yourself on all the other stuff. So add that 0.5% of change each week, and that could be what you do. So if you're benching 400 pounds or 300 pounds, well, next week bench 303. Right? Okay. Add that 1% or 0.5% or whatever it is each week that you can, that should still challenge you, but it's not enough where you can't get 1 rep or 2 reps out of the work. Right. So it's those small adjustments that you'll make. You'll tend to just add, like I said, 0.5%, 1%, 2% each week, not 8% or 7% each week. Right. So that's the best way. I guess that'd be the best way to explain it.
But that's good. Because not everybody can afford a personal trainer.
Right.
Whatever, and you don't want, your average person to say, oh, well, I can't afford a personal trainer, so I'm not going to go on it. I'm not going to worry about working out because I can't afford it.
That's right. Everybody can do push-ups, sit-ups, squats.
Yes.
Good mornings. Body weight exercises are very, very effective.
They are.
And you can do them the same way, like we talked about running a mile or walking the 2.5 miles an hour. If you can do 30 push-ups in 1 minute, well, the goal now is to do 33 push-ups in 1 minute.
1 minute. And just keep adding on.
And add on that way. Now, is there a human capacity limit? Of course there is. I think the world record in a minute, I don't know what's the world record for 1 minute of push-ups. Let's see. World record. WR push-ups 1 minute. All right, let's see. Currently, the world record for push-ups in 1 minute is 145. And he did it on May 3rd in 2023. I'm not saying that you should shoot for 147 push-ups in a minute. I'm just saying that there are limits to your physicality. So if you can get to 60 or 70 push-ups in a minute,
that's great.
That's fantastic. That's the top 1% of the world of people doing one push-up per second. That's pretty impressive. So you can do those types of things along the way. You just have to decide what that goal is going to be and how you can track your sessions. And that's how you do it.
And I think it's also important to share that, we have a lot of tools out there. Number one, the Butterfly Effect has the free Saturday.
Every Saturday.
So every Saturday, 8:45 Eastern time, you have free workout class. You never know what you're going to get, though. But you have a workout class that you can do every day, every Saturday at the Free Fitness Saturday through the Butterfly Effect Studio.
That's right.
And then you can always go on to YouTube and find workouts and things like that. But again, you have to be really careful of those because everyone that puts out those exercises aren't necessarily certified trainers. They're not, certified yoga instructors. They're just doing it because they feel like they know how to do it and they can just do it. And you have to really be careful and listen to your body. That's the most important thing. Listen to your body. Let it tell you. But
if you have a coach, let's see your coach. They'll tell you.
As soon as I got on that Stairmaster this morning, my body was stiff because I've been driving a little over an hour getting here. And so I got up on the Stairmaster and then I immediately thought to myself, oh, should I go work stretch first? But then I know that you always tell me
you got to warm up a little bit
before you stretch.
That's right.
And so I'm like, well, maybe I shouldn't have got on the Stairmaster to warm up. Maybe I should have got on the treadmill to warm up and then stretch and then get on the Stairmaster. That probably would have been better because the first thing I felt was my hip
shocked right away, right?
Man, my hip was like, girl, what are you doing?
That's it.
And okay, let's hurry up and get some fluid up in that joint. So I didn't feel it anymore. And it wasn't until I was like 15 minutes in that I really felt like I had a rhythm without any pain. Without any pain. So, you learn by listening to your body. So I know the next time when I come in, I'm trying to be lazy. I'm trying to get around. I'm trying to be slick and get around. You really can't.
Nope. Not in here. It's too small.
Yeah. And he's too observant. But I do know next time I will be getting on the treadmill first before I jump over onto the beast. Because, the beast is the beast. That's what I call the Stairmaster. The beast. And, but it'll give you a workout because I'm still wet from that. I'm so sweaty from that.
Good. Stairmasters are great. They're my friend. I did all class on Saturday. While they were doing hip hop step, I was doing Stairmasters.
I know. I saw you. But I was like, you should have been doing the class.
Nope. I know my limitations.
That's important.
Know my limitations.
Your limitations.
It's not my gift.
That's not my gift either. I can't do it.
I'll outlift, I'll walk, I'll jog, I'll run, I'll Stairmaster, I'll swim. All of that. I ain't dancing. That ain't that. Maybe my brain hasn't turned that part on as putting that to how I should do my fitness journey. It's just not my.
And every female can't dance. I mean, I can't.
I see them every day.
I just, I have 2 left feet. I try, but I know my limitations. So hip hop, that's not for me either.
Right. Yeah. So I genuinely think, folks, as we begin to take this to a close, I genuinely think that setting realistic goals is something that is very, very important. Realistic goals that push the limits of reality. You shouldn't say, okay, I want to lose 5 pounds and you weigh 360. That's not a goal. That's not something that you're shooting for as your end result. If you're 5'5", weigh 360 pounds, your goal is to weigh 140 pounds. But we're not going to lose 200 pounds in 3 months. Right? That's not reality.
Right.
It's not reality to even lose it in 6 months. Right. Because I've only heard of exactly one human being who's ever done anything like that. And he's exactly one out of 7.9 billion. Right. So we can set a realistic goal that can push it. You know what? We're going to push for 25 pounds every single month until we get to X. And then once we get to X, then we'll do it. So 25 pounds a month equals 7 pounds a week, 7.5 pounds, 7 pounds a week or so, 6.5. We can do that. We can do 6 pounds a week. And this is how we're going to do it. We're going to change the calories this amount. We're going to do this amount of cardio and lift weights this amount of time. And this is what we're going to do every single day. We're not going to cheat on our meal plan. And we're going to lose 6.5, 7 pounds every single week for the first 3 months. And then after that time is up, now that you're down 75 pounds, you're in the high 280s. Now we're going to adjust that down. So now we're going to go for 4 pounds every single week. What does that math look like? And then we build our meal plans around it. We'll start adjusting how much protein and how many empty carbs like broccoli or cucumbers or spinach or spaghetti squash, whatever it is. We'll adjust the calories accordingly so you still feel full, still get adequate amount of protein, lose another 30 pounds, 40 pounds, and then adjust again, right? It's setting the realistic goals so that over the course of a year or a year and a half, you can hit it and you'll be able to sustain it because you have all your notes, all your logs, all of everything you ate, how you worked out for the entire time. And now you know what works for you what you like to eat, what you don't like to eat, what you're tired of eating, what you love to eat. All those things are all part of your journey, and you're less likely to recede and go back to the old way
of eating
because you have learned a new skill. You've learned a new version of yours, not the new version, the new you. It's not a version. It is, in fact, the new you. So that is what we are shooting for. So make the goal, make it a pushing the edge of reality just a little bit, and then make your plan, and then freaking stick to it. Be disciplined and consistent, and you'll be there.
I tell you what, after we did my food plan, and I went to the grocery store. Mm-hmm. I had no reason to go on the inside of the grocery store. I only went to fruits and vegetables. I went to the meat section. And I went to dairy. And that was it.
See? Easy. And you didn't go so fast.
And I saved more money.
Probably.
No, I'm telling you, I saved more money.
That means she can pay you more.
No, that's not what more. But I realized, I got to do that every week because I'm only buying what I'm eating for the week. Right. Now, I still have a cupboard full of stuff like pasta.
You made for other folks.
And
I used
tomato sauces.
I made what I made last night. I made pasta, but I used vegetable pasta. 21 grams of protein per box. And it's a little bit chewier than the regular old pasta. A little bit chewier. So I learned that here's the secret. So you don't know how to cook it. That's the problem.
Is that what the problem is? Because
I'm gonna tell you to cook it the right way. Okay. What you do is first when you cook your meat, remember you made hamburger helper before?
Yeah.
Okay. Made the same way. You didn't boil the noodles separately with your hamburger. What you do?
You put it in the same thing.
That's right. Oh. And then put the lid on top. And now it's right.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. I had to figure it out. I had to play with it, figure it out. It took a while, but I got it.
Some and it's sitting there because I'm just like,
that's what I did. I used that with the tomato sauce, and I measured. I got 10 ounces of the pasta with the meat sauce, ground turkey right in there. I'm gonna have that for lunch today.
You didn't give me pasta in mine.
I didn't.
It's okay. I don't eat a lot of it. I didn't need it.
You didn't need it. What you have, what you got. Yeah,
what I have is what I got: meat, chicken, fish, green vegetables, and a little bit of rice.
Winner.
Winner. Oh, avocado.
And avocado.
Gave me the avocado. And I don't like the almond butter.
Really?
No, so I switched it to the avocado.
Okay, that's fine.
That's fine.
So fats are fats, right? Because it's 9 calories per gram of fat, no matter what kind of fat it is.
Oh,
the question is the type of fat it is determinative of how it's going to break down in your body. So fried chicken grease ain't going to be the same as avocado oil on a piece. You know what I mean? It's not going to be the same thing in that butter form. So it's going to break down differently in your body.
Yeah.
It's not superheated and all the free radicals and like crap flying around and just spread it on there and eat it.
You know what I figured out though?
What's that?
I don't really use my stove very often because I'm doing everything in the air fryer.
Well,
except for my eggs.
So sell your stove.
Right.
Save some money.
Except for my eggs, my egg whites. That's the only thing I cook on the stove. Everything else I put in the air fryer.
Yeah. Well, I use everything. So I never bake. I'm not a baker.
I'm not a baker either.
Right. But I use my air fryer, I use stove, I use skillets. So everything up top I can use, but I'm not doing it on no oven stuff. I don't bake cakes and cookies and breads and all that crap.
I used to.
Really?
Yeah, I used to bake a lot of cookies.
Yeah, no, not me.
My family would be like, you gonna make
nope.
the chocolate chip or pecan cookies, or you gonna make brownies? You're gonna,
I ain't doing none of that.
I stopped making that stuff. I don't even buy that stuff. But that's again a change.
That's a good thing.
So I'm doing okay.
I'm glad.
Yeah. And now I understand goals and adjustments a lot more.
Excellent.
And I think that that's good. It's a good thing.
Oh, good.
All righty.
Well, thank you so much. I told you table conversation would be good. She didn't believe me. I told her it was going to be good. But thank you for joining us today.
Yeah.
Like, subscribe, leave us a comment or question. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Send us some contacts so we can reach back out to you. We can communicate with you, and we can help you through your journey, whether it's weight loss, whether you need motivation, you just might kick you in the butt. We got you covered. Just let us know what you need, and we'll get you there. So like, subscribe, comment, forward it, share it, and then pick one of the bloops over there or over there to follow and subscribe. And we'll see you in a week.
Peace. That was really good.